Alrighty, so we have what should be a really fun fight here. It's Cub Swanson versus Giga Chikadze. So Giga, he's the bigger man. He's got 4 inches in height and he's 4 inches longer than Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson, he's getting up there in age. He's 37 at the time of this fight. He recently had ACL surgery at 36, I think. So that's kind of a red flag. But he did look good in his last performance against Pineda, I believe his name is, yeah. So yeah, we'll break down the striking of these two. So Chikadze comes from a kickboxing background. He uses a lot of feints. His boxing isn't the best. He wings a lot of his punches, can be quite wild on the feet, but his kicks are definitely his best weapons. He's got really good dexterity with his hips. His kicks come up like they're nothing. He's got pretty decent power in his kicks as well. You can tell when he lands clean. On the other side, Cub Swanson, he has good footwork. He'll move a lot on the outside, looking to pick his strike and entries. And then once he does get in the pocket, he does like to exchange. And he doesn't mind a brawl, absolutely. And he has pretty unusual striking technique, in my opinion. Seems to put his whole body into a lot of his punches. Seems to push a lot of his punches instead of like a boxer would, like they would snap their punches at the end of it. He seems to kind of push a lot of his punches out, and that's generally why he doesn't have as much power as other people do. You know, he did knock out his last opponent, but, you know, that guy's chin was kind of suspect going into that. But in my opinion, I don't think the way he strikes generates a lot of power, generally. Can knock people out, but still, it's going to be less than someone who puts, like, snap into their punches. One thing Giga does is that he throws a lot of leg kicks early in the fight, just kind of to gauge range, but also make reads and see how his opponent's going to react to it once he does throw offense. So yeah, he'll throw a lot of leg kicks early. You see Adesanya and a lot of other kickboxers do that. They like to get the range, see how, you know, how opponent's going to react and all that kind of stuff. Cub Swanson doesn't check leg kicks. I don't think I've seen him check too many leg kicks in his career, but that could be a problem, you know. But Giga, he's generally more of a kicker, but he will start boxing later in fights. I don't know whether it's fatigue, that his legs get heavy or whatever, and he doesn't want to kick anymore, but he does tend to use his boxing a lot later in fights, and I don't think his boxing is the best, so could get in trouble here if he decides to box with Cub Swanson. But if he stays a distance, uses leg kicks, uses his kicking game, I think he should be able to keep Cub Swanson on the outside. Cub, he likes to get in the pocket. Punches are coming from weird angles. Blitz for a 1-2 or a 2-3. Just kind of swinging hooks in the pocket at times, overhands. He's best when he's throwing combinations. When he's just, you know, blitzing in, throwing the jab, and then looking to get out of range, I think that isn't when he's firing on all cylinders. When he's throwing the combinations, I do think that's when he's the best, Cub Swanson. And he will throw combinations to the body, level change, and that mixes it up quite nicely. Could see him doing that on Chikadze because he does have that quite long body, long torso. Chikadze, with his boxing, mostly it's a counter 2 when the opponent closes distance. He looks to snipe with that. But I do think his kicks are definitely where he excels. He has a nice body kick. When he's in southpaw and his opponent's in orthodox, he'll go body head with roundhouse kicks. Catches opponents. I think he caught Janie Simmons, I think his name is, with that combination, well, with that setup. And Cub does keep his hands low, so if he is going to stay at range and he starts defending those body kicks and those hands get even lower than usual, I can definitely see Chikadze going up high and maybe putting Cub's lights out. Alright, we'll skip the grappling. I don't think either are going to grapple. I think if someone's going to grapple, it's going to be Cub. But I just don't think he does. I think he's at that point of his career where he doesn't. He looks to put on a show more than, you know, winning fights. In my opinion, it seems to be the type of guy that Cub is, and you got to respect that. But I just don't think he's going to grapple reliably. But I could definitely see him putting his wrestling boots on if he is having trouble on the feet. How these guys win fights? So for Chikadze, he's got real nice kicks. He's got good distance management, which allows for the kicking game. So it kind of complements each other. For Cub Swanson, he's very experienced. He has the ability to push a solid pace. He has very good cardio, good volume. He's durable. He has a good chin. I don't know what happened with that Moicano jab. That was very... I think it just... the speed maybe caught him off guard. But generally he's shown a very good chin, even later in his career. Alright, so guys, how these guys lose fights? For Chikadze, his takedown defense looks real bad. Like, he doesn't even fight for underhooks at all. There hasn't been too much... Well, I don't have the largest sample size to go off, but just off what I've seen, it doesn't look great at all. But he is fighting at a good gym, whatever it's called, where Pinedo, what's his name? Cordero coaches. King's MMA, I think it is. But, yeah, his takedown defense looks real bad. His get-ups look terrible as well. When you do grapple him, he seems to have a lot of issues. Seems to slow early in fights when grappling is involved. So when you do involve the grappling, you know, you expose a lot of his weaknesses. For Cub Swanson, he generally has trouble with fighters with good movement and with the speed advantage over him. I'm talking fighters like Shane Burgos, Moicano, Frankie Edgar, Max Holloway. And I think Giga has both of those. He has the speed advantage over Cub, and he has good movement. So, could be trouble if Cub wants to fight his usual fight in this one. And it's not going to be an issue here, but he seems to constantly put himself in danger on the ground. He's got a black belt, but I'm not sure who gave him that. Like, he doesn't... Yeah, he makes a lot of mistakes on the mat. Pass to victory for these two. Alright, so for Cub Swanson, look to get in the pocket. Try and bait him into a brawl, like kind of taunt him and that kind of stuff. Once you do get in the pocket, look for body shots, combinations there. Look to ground him by catching one of his kicks, and look to get him off his back. So yeah, for Chikadze, look for the leg kicks, he doesn't check them. Keep everything straight with the boxing, no looping stuff, like that's how he's going to level change, or he's going to duck under, look for his uppercuts and stuff like that. Look for the counter too when he does close distance, because he will be the one that needs to close distance. Don't look to brawl in the pocket, don't exchange with him in the pocket. Land your offense and then angle out. Look to stay at distance for the rest of the fight. Look for the high kick, and then follow up the high kick with a 2, like a Robert Whittaker, like a reverse Robert Whittaker combo. I think that would land on Cub Swanson quite often, because he does keep the hands low. Alright, so how I see the fight playing out. Alright, so I think the onus is on Cub to close the distance, to make it ugly. I think Giga, if he can keep it a distance, he should get a pretty comfortable win here. I think he normally starts fast and he starts hard with the kicks, so Cub probably needs to get on he needs to close the distance early, I believe, and get the respect of Chikadze early and get him on the back foot. Could be a good live bet opportunity here on Cub Swanson if, you know, he has a competitive round and he is landing a few shots on Giga, or, you know, is utilizing a grappling game plan. Because as I said before, Giga seems to use his boxing quite a lot later in fights, and I don't think he's going to win the boxing exchanges against Cub Swanson. So if he puts it on him early and, you know, utilizes a bit of clinching, bit of grappling, I think he could definitely win rounds 2 and 3. I think round 1, Giga wins at a good clip. But yeah, after that, it could get questionable if Cub does put it on him in the first round. So yeah, Cub seems to be at a point in his career where he just wants to put on good fights for the fans. That's what I was talking about before. I don't think he's going to use a grappling heavy game plan, even though he probably should if he's looking at it as a tactician or whatever. But yeah, Cub just hasn't used a grappling heavy game plan pretty much in his whole career, so I don't see him starting now. I think Giga wins just by staying on the outside, landing his kicks. I think he definitely wins the first 2 rounds if Cub's going to sit back and just, you know, look for his normal strike and entries. I think Cub needs to put the pressure on him the whole fight. I think he either wins the first 2 rounds or just wins the whole fight 3 rounds. I don't see him finishing Cub. He's not a huge finisher. I think maybe if he lands a head kick, he could definitely get a finish, but I see him winning by decision. I think he's just going to do some damage with his kicks at distance. He's not going to be able to... Well, he's going to hurt Cub on the strike and entries, but I don't think, Cub's going to get enough time in the pocket to land his bombs for him to win the fight or do some serious damage on the feet. So yeah, I think Giga does win. I think that happens the majority of the time. And let's have a look at the betting lines. Alright, so Giga, sizable favourite. I think he should be the favourite. I think it might be a little tiny bit juiced at the moment. I favour him around 65% of the time, so if it keeps going down, then maybe I'll have a look at betting Cub Swanson, but I'm not too enthusiastic about it. If Giga got to like $1.70 or minus 140, then I'd play him, but I don't see him getting to that price. If Cub Swanson got up to $3.20 or plus 220, then maybe I'd play him there. But yeah, I'm just looking to just avoid this fight, I guess. Just watch it. It should be, I think it's a good matchup for Giga. That's why I'm not really keen on either party at the moment. But yeah, I think Giga gets it done. I think he gets it done by decision.